Hello and welcome to HMR Waterfront presents Game On Here. We're building up to a very exciting contest in this World Cup. Now Afghanistan taking on Bangladesh. Super 8 की हम बिल्कुल आखिरी लेग पे आ चुके हैं. The knockouts, the semi-final and final are just a few days and hours away now, and we can't wait to see who the top 4 will be. But this match holds so much significance for Team Afghanistan and also for Bangladesh in their own ways, even though इस अभी तक की journey उनकी बहुत unmemorable रही है, although कुछ individual performances रही from their team, but once again as a team they couldn't deliver what the World Cup stage requires. And well, let's talk about Afghanistan as well. I have my very lovely co-host Erin Holland with me. We've been talking a lot behind the scenes off air about what Afghanistan can present as a team, and they're just so beautiful to watch and so threatening, especially what they did against Australia. Erin, they still have this game and they have a lot riding on this one, because if they win, it could mean for them to go forward in that top 4. They already are in your top 4. What are your expectations going forward in this game?
Well, they're in my top 4, but I didn't think it would be at the expense of Australia, unfortunately, which it may well be. But what a dream one again for Afghanistan in an ICC tournament. They were so wonderful to watch in last year's 50-over World Cup. They've come back again. They've roared through the group stages and given themselves every opportunity to call themselves first-time semi-finalists in a World Cup. It's one obviously in the T20 World Cup, but the rise and rise of Afghanistan is truly something to behold, and it's been so exciting to watch them grow, I guess, and put on better and better performances. And it's not always Rashid Khan now. So many different guys standing up, taking responsibility with the bat and the ball for the team, and actually give them the reality of potentially making a semi-final is really exciting times. So Bangladesh, look out. I think Afghanistan are going to be coming all guns blazing today for sure.
And as you said, all of their performers are stepping up into their roles in this World Cup. So हम उस सब के बारे में अभी बात करेंगे in our build up to this all important game. I've got with me our favorite panelists on Game On Here, the ones we have every day taking us through these games with their insightful analysis. We've got Martin Guptill, Yunus Khan and Mohammad Hafiz. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us back for this all-important pre-show. Marty, Afghanistan, they've been known as, relying so much on their spin, squeezing out the opposition with that pressure, especially Rashid, Mujib, Nabi, the way that they have been delivering. But in this World Cup, they've just been about so much more than spin. They've delivered in every aspect. What do you expect them to do in what could be their last game?
Well, yeah, you say it's their last, it could be their last game, and all the pressure actually goes on to them. Bangladesh are out, we know that. So the pressure goes on them. Bangladesh have nothing to lose. So that makes them quite a dangerous team in this sort of situation where they just go out and play freely and anything can sort of happen. So, Afghanistan have to win to have a chance of qualifying. So, that's a lot of pressure to take for a team who hasn't been in this position before in a World Cup. So it'd be interesting to see how they deal with that pressure and if they can still go through their processes to, to be able to put up those good performances, because, they have been very good. Their batting's been fantastic. The top order's been absolutely dominant for them, and that's kept them in the tournament and won them some games early on in the tournament to have them in this position.
Back in Kingstown, St Vincent, which was the scene of the crime against Australia, it has to be said. Afghanistan losing the toss, being sent in to bat first, Yunus Khan, but that was exactly what the doctor ordered for that batting lineup, to go out there, play with absolute freedom, put such a big score on the board, which Australia inevitably couldn't chase down. I mean, how do you kind of regroup after coming off such a high of getting your first ever win against such a quality side, but knowing that the job's not yet done? They've got to reset now and go again against Bangladesh.
Yeah, especially in this Super 8, there's no time to rest. So I think they knows that, and I hope they win the toss at bat first, because that's how they have a good chance to post on the runs on the board and then defend it, because they're not only good with the spinner, they're fast bowling also on at the mark. So I think if they have scored something like 150 or 60, they have a good chance, and they know that it is too crucial for them. If they win, dream will come true and they will be in the top 4.
It takes the pressure off that batting lineup as well, which has been so solid, particularly the opening partnership, but probably pales in comparison to how consistent the bowling utility has been. Mohammad Hafiz, we know how good the openers have been. Ramanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran, 3-century partnerships. It's no surprises there that they go on to win the games where they start on such a strong foot with those two. But is that what you'd be doing if you're Afghanistan, no matter what? Now try and bat first and just take that pressure off your batting unit.
Now, surely, if you play at St. Vincent, we witnessed most of the games played out there. Bat first is always the best option, because whatever runs, even 120 on that track is tough to chase on. So I think they will fancy themselves to win the toss. If that will be the case, they will go for a bat first. But you know, overall the journey they had so far is incredible. Incredible the way they've beaten some of the greats of the game, like Australia. Also New Zealand is a fantastic team. They win over them, and the bowling is basically winning most of the games for them. Yes, the two openers doing damage when it comes to scoring more runs, but their bowling is collectively doing well. So I think as a team they will fancy their chances to restrict any total. And you know, the only thing which they obviously it happens in the game of cricket, the match they lost against India with a big margin, obviously that is the only part they're missing in this match. Like they have to win with a good margin also. So that's where I think Afghanistan, obviously they would like to have a win no matter what comes out, either they will qualify or not, but at least they would like to have a win with a good margin. So giving themselves a good chance, which obviously is the right way to move.
Absolutely, wanting to give themselves, both sides wanting to end their tournament. Should it be the end for Afghanistan and will be the end for Bangladesh, they'll want to end on a high with a win. We know how much pride comes with donning your national jersey, getting to represent your country. And it's a T20 World Cup, so for Bangladesh, a lot to make up for after a disappointing Super 8's campaign. Roha, and Afghanistan, well, you know, their future is in their hands. Can the fairy tale continue?
You know, I saw a very interesting clip, you know, talking about the damage that was done in that game against Australia. I can't remember who the player was, but it was one of the openers. I'm thinking it was Gurbaz, but he said a very interesting thing, you know, in that post-match, you know, afterglow of defeating Australia in that game. And it was in the dressing room where he looked into the camera and he said, we remember the damage that they did to us in that 50-over World Cup, and that's all I was thinking about when I came to play this World Cup. I want to hurt them back, and that's what it means to them. They hold on to the grudges, they hold on to those emotions actually, you know, of what you feel after you've been defeated, after you almost were there at the finishing line. And, you know, they found a way to come back against Australia. Now this game is something that they will be putting all their efforts into. And speaking of course, you know, their key players, we know Rashid has been doing it for them in T20s for so long, but it's going to be an interesting battle. Shakib Al Hasan on one side, Rashid Khan on the other side, and you know, Rashid has been leading them so well in this World Cup. Let's take a look at the stats, Yunus, because we talk a lot about the spinners in this World Cup, how they have been dominating. This is a chart of most wickets in T20Is right now, and you can see Shakib and Rashid Khan just sitting there comfortably. 149 wickets for Shakib and 148 for Rashid Khan. ये एक अच्छा कॉन्टेस्ट होगा ना, आज मैचअप होगा इन दोनों का कि कौन सा प्लेयर जो है वो अपनी टीम को एक बार फिर मैच जितवाएगा.
बिल्कुल, अगर मैं शाकिब अल हसन की बात करूं तो हमें उसकी क्वालिटी पे कोई डाउट नहीं है. वो एक मैच विनर रहे हैं, लेकिन रीसेंट पास पे वो काफ़ी क्वाइट रहे हैं. उनकी कुछ इनिंग्स हमने देखी है और बॉलिंग में भी ग्लिम्पसेस नज़र आए. लेकिन हम अगर राशिद खान की बात करें तो उनका कंपैरिजन इस वक्त अगर मैं बाकी टॉप के बॉलर के साथ करूं, एडम जंपा से हो सकता है, और एक आधा और बॉलर है शमसी के साथ हो सकता है, कुलदीप यादव के साथ हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो मैच विनर है. और जिस तरह वो आते हैं और मिडल में ख़ास तौर पे वो जिस तरह की परफॉर्मेंस करते हैं, वो उनसे कोई कंपैरिजन इस वक्त नहीं है. और क्योंकि वो कैप्टन भी हैं, लीड भी फ्रंट से कर रहे हैं, और वो चाह रहे कि वो टीम को जिताएं और जाके सुपर 4 में लेके जाएं. और मेरे ख्याल से देखें, ये मैच जैसे तो हमें पता ही है कि उनकी बॉडी लैंग्वेज क्या होगी, उनके इंटेंशंस क्या होगी, लेकिन उनको स्मार्ट प्ले करना है. हमने पास में भी देखा है कि बहुत ज़्यादा एग्रेशन भी आपके अगेंस्ट चली जाती है, बहुत ज़्यादा. ठीक है, मोटिवेट तो होंगे क्योंकि आखिरी मैच के बाद जिस तरह वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया को उन्होंने हराया है, लेकिन जॉब अभी डन नहीं हुआ है. आपको टॉप 4 में आना है, और फिर अगर ऑन द गिवन डे अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस होती है तो आप फाइनल्स में भी आ सकते हैं. उनके लिए सिर्फ एक कंसर्न ये है कि ठीक है, उनकी फास्ट बॉलिंग भी अच्छी कर रही है, स्पिनर भी अच्छी कर रही है. द ओनली कंसर्न फॉर देम मिडल ऑर्डर बैटिंग. वहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि अजमतुल्लाह और मरज़ई हैं, गुलबदीन नायब हैं, मोहम्मद नबी हैं, नजीबुल्लाह ज़रदार, इनसे एक्सपेक्टेशन होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर हम उनकी बैटिंग की बात करते हैं तो हमें ये लगता है कि बाज़ औक़ात उनके ओपनर तो बहुत अच्छा खेल रहे हैं, लेकिन जैसे ही वो मिडल ऑर्डर्स में आते हैं तो वहाँ से परफॉर्मेंसेस नहीं होती। तो
क्योंकि अभी तक आपको लगता है अभी तक इतना एक्सपोज नहीं हुआ उनका मिडल ऑर्डर या फिनिशर्स?
हुआ है। अगर हम इंडिया के खिलाफ देखें तो वो मैच हमें लगता है कि अगर वो कोई 45-50 रन से हारे हैं, वहाँ इजीली 20 से 25 रन मोर हो सकते थे। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये उनका वो है। अगर मैं टीम अब बांग्लादेश की बात करूँ तो उनसे ये एक्सपेक्टेशन ये है कि वो एक सीनियर टीम है, बार बार वो आते हैं और कुछ ठीक है उनकी तरफ से अब पैचेस में परफॉर्मेंसेस आ रही हैं, लेकिन वो मेक श्योर करें कि वो इस मैच को ऐसा खेलें कि वो लोग याद रखें कि बांग्लादेश कैसा अपना आखिरी मैच खेला T20 वर्ल्ड कप के सुपर 8 में।
You rightly point out that it's been the middle order that's been failing to fire for Afghanistan, but in terms of the top order firing, let's go to Marty Guptill and this, Mr. Top order batter himself from New Zealand for many, many years. But Afghanistan have had the most successful opening partnership in this T20 World Cup. The stats do not lie. In 6 innings, they've scored 396 runs at an average of 66, 3-century partnerships to speak of for those batters there, Marty. They're so reliant on those top two. How impressed have you been with the form of Zadran and Gurbaz?
Yeah, they've played really nicely. You know, the first game of the tournament really kick-started it for them, coming up against a really underdone New Zealand team, and they just got on a roll, didn't they? And they did it in the next game as well against, you know, a couple of games later, I think, and they just got on a real good roll. And then the other side of that is when they don't get off to that start, you know, the whole lineup sort of stutters a bit, doesn't it? And they tend to struggle to score those runs. But once they, you know, if they can get, that's what Bangladesh will be wanting to do, is get one of those two out early, because they know that they can make inroads if they can break that partnership early on. But they have been really impressive, and they've done it with quite a lot of ease as well. They've made it look easy. They've struck the ball nicely. They've played really smart cricket shots, and haven't looked to slog the ball or anything like that. So they've done it really well, and you know, as I said, Bangladesh will want to try and break that early doors.
And you know, Professor, we have been talking about the opening pair a lot, and I'm sure Bangladesh have been doing their homework, because they know if the middle order gets exposed early on, if they come into bat, if we are able to unsettle that opening partnership, maybe they will have a chance, and it's a pretty fair chance against Afghanistan. How can Afghanistan look past that and try to make the best out of their middle order, which have not been firing at all in this World Cup?
देखिए middle order तो उनके पास वही player हैं, वो score नहीं कर रहे, like Shakibul Hasan, he is a quality player, बहुत बेहतरीन ऑलराउंडर है, but overall in this tournament so far एक innings के अलावा
अभी अफगानिस्तान की हम बात करें कि उनका मिडल ऑर्डर वो भी अभी तक कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं इस पर।
अगर हम उधर भी जाएं तो देखें उनके उमर ज़ई ने अभी तक कोई ऐसी बड़ी परफॉर्मेंस नहीं दिखाई। नजीब की बात करें, वो खेल रहे हैं लेकिन बहुत नीचे आ रहे हैं, तो उनको ऊपर भेजा जा सकता है एज ए लेफ्ट हैंडेड बैट्समैन। गुलबदीन ने 1-2 मैचेस के अंदर आए, कुछ अपना परफॉर्मेंस दी, लेकिन ओवरऑल अगर देखा जाए तो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम ओपनर्स ने ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड किया बड़े मैचों में, या जल्दी ख़त्म हो गई या उन्होंने ज़्यादा बैटिंग की। मुझे लगता है कि रोटेशन पॉलिसी के ऊपर किया जा सकता है कि एक आध प्लेयर को रोटेट कर लिया जाए लेफ्ट हैंडर को। जैसे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि अगर आपके आउट होते हैं ओपनर, अगर में कोई भी आउट होता है तो आप नजीब को ऊपर भेज सकते हैं। मोहम्मद नबी so far is batting too down the order as experienced player, so these are the things they can.
Why do you think that is? Why
I
is
don't know, somehow sometime management think differently. जैसे हम अगर इंडिया की बात करें तो हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि जेसवाल इज़ अ बेटर ऑप्शन, हमें लग रहा है, लेकिन मैनेजमेंट सोच रही है कि कोहली इज़ द बेस्ट ऑप्शन एज एन ओपनर। ही इज़ फेलिंग एट द मोमेंट इन द वर्ल्ड कप, लेकिन वो फिर भी उसको वही रोल दे रहे हैं, हालांकि वो नंबर 3 पे खेल सकता है। तो ये मैनेजमेंट डिफरेंट रोल प्ले करती है, डिफरेंट रोल डिसाइड करती है फॉर द डिफरेंट प्लेयर्स। तो नबी को लेके, नजीब को लेके मुझे लगता है कि वो इतने क्रिकेट खेल चुके हुए हैं कि वो अपने आप को अगर 4 या 5 या 3 या 4 के ऊपर लेके आएंगे तो इट विल बी गुड फॉर द टीम।
I think they're probably thinking that 24 years of experience playing for Afghanistan has Mohammad Nabi, which is just wild to think. He can probably deal with any situation that's thrown in front of him, but to get the most out of the experienced veteran all-rounder, I personally would like to see him bat up the order, to get some more balls to, you know, get himself in it and do some damage with the bat. But one thing's for sure, opening partnership has not been too much of a problem for the Afghanistanis. What can they do against Bangladesh today? We'll continue our pre-match analysis show, of course, here on HMR Waterfront Presents Game on Hai. Looking forward to the big matchup between Afghanistan and Bangladesh in the Super 8. Stick with us as we're off to a very short break.
जी वेलकम बैक टू HMR वाटरफ्रंट प्रेजेंट्स गेम ऑन है। हम बिल्ड अप कर रहे हैं अफगानिस्तान वर्सेस बांग्लादेश का। ब्रेक से पहले हम बात कर रहे थे अफगानिस्तान की स्ट्रेंथ्स के बारे में भी, और वो तो हम खैर करते रहेंगे बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स दैट आर वर्किंग आउट फॉर द अफगानिस्तान इन दिस वर्ल्ड कप। लेकिन अगर हम एक उनके एरिया की बात करें जो ब्रेक से पहले एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन हो रही थी, दैट वाज द मिडल ऑर्डर of Afghanistan, and that let's continue that debate because they will be relying a lot on their batters just apart from Gurbaz and Zadran to take that responsibility. Marty, we have a little graphic here. So far in this World Cup, the middle order has been struggling. They're striking at just 99 and they're averaging 11.7. Now if you're facing Bangladesh, you know, what can you expect them to do against an attack that Bangladesh have? They have that variety in their bowling attack as well, and you will be counting on them to make those inroads against a struggling middle order.
Yeah, 100%. It's, I mean, these stats they don't probably tell the whole story. I mean, half of these games it's after the openers have got off to an absolute flying start, and these guys are expected to come in and keep that momentum going on what has been quite tricky pitches that they've played on. But you know, once you get into that partnership at the top of the order, those tricky conditions aren't so tricky. They actually become a lot easier to deal with, and then you know, you break that partnership, and guys coming in having to try and start on these tricky wickets is not an easy thing. So, have a little bit. Got to have a little bit of sympathy for them because it's not an easy job to try and do that from ball one. But you know, they'll want to do better. And they're on another tricky wicket today where there has been a bit of spin. It's not going to be easy starting again. So, Bangladesh will want to make sure that they can break that that opening partnership, and from there make inroads into that middle order to make it tricky for them.
And not allow them to rebuild after that. That's also so important because often we have seen openers getting out early and then the middle order batters coming in, building those partnerships and taking the game deeper. And with Afghanistan, in every game, we see something new from them. You know, Yunus, आज कितना ज़रूरी है कि अगर ये middle order के batters जल्दी expose हो जाते हैं तो वो continue रखें, try करें कि partnerships बनाएं। अभी तक हमने अच्छी partnerships apart from the top order नहीं देखी हैं।
मेरे ख्याल से देखें हम यहाँ पे अगर मोहम्मद नबी को थोड़ा सा ऊपर देखें तो ज़्यादा बेहतर है, क्योंकि वो एक सीनियर प्लेयर हैं, उनको पता है कि कैसे वो जो मिडिल में एक एंकर रोल अदा कर सकते हैं अगर ओपनर्स नहीं आते हैं। मेरे ख्याल से वो ये कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि देखें सो फार हमने ये ज़रूर देखा है कि इन पिचेस पे ठीक है, बाज़ औक़ात ये लग तो स्लो रही होती हैं लेकिन स्ट्राइक रोटेशन जो है ना मुश्किल हो जाती है। तो मेरे ख्याल से उनको ये स्मार्ट करना है, क्योंकि अब सिर्फ ये 3 ही गेम रह गए। आज का गेम है, उसके बाद सेमीफाइनल है और फाइनल है। मेरे ख्याल से अगर कोई अच्छा सा प्लान ले, जैसे हम यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं कि मोहम्मद नबी ऊपर आ सकते हैं, नजीबुल्लाह को जो है वो उनको कोई ऐसा रोल दे सकते हैं कि ठीक है वो लेफ़्ट हैंडेड हैं तो शायद लगता है कि स्पिनर्स के ख़िलाफ़ करेंगे, लेकिन बाज़ औक़ात वो वहाँ पे उनकी परफॉर्मेंसेस नहीं आ रही, तो उनको कोई रोल दिया जाए, उनको थोड़ा सा अप किया जाए तो वो बेटर हो सकता है। लेकिन देखिए, इनको अगर ये ट्रॉफ़ी जीतनी है तो इनको प्लान तो लेके आना पड़ेगा। ये हो सकता है बाज़ औक़ात के ठीक है हम यहाँ बात करें मिडल ऑर्डर्स को ज़्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिली, वो ज़्यादा रन नहीं कर सके बिकॉज ऑफ ओपनर। ये बिल्कुल सिमिलर वही है जैसे हम अब पाकिस्तान टीम की बात करते हैं कि जब बाबर आजम और मोहम्मद रिजवान खेलते हैं तो मिडल ऑर्डर बाज़ औक़ात एक्सपोज होते हैं, क्योंकि जब वो उनको बाज़ औक़ात मौका मिलता है तो या तो अंडर प्रेशर होते हैं या कम ओवर्स मिलते हैं, तो मैं इसलिए फिर उनकी परफॉर्मेंसेस नहीं आ रही होती। लेकिन अगर टीम अफ़गानिस्तान को ये ट्रॉफ़ी जीतनी है तो इसके लिए कोई ना कोई सेकेंड ऑप्शन लेके आना है। अगर वो ये करते हैं तो उनके पास बहुत अच्छा चांस है, ये मैच भी जीत सकते हैं और उसके बाद सेमीफाइनल और फाइनल भी जीत सकते हैं।
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much for the middle order to play for today and to try and come to the fore and find a way into some form, particularly if Afghanistan are going to continue in this tournament. It can't always be up to the opening batters to get them off to an absolute flyer. But, you know, let's shift our focus from the batters to the bowlers now for a second, because you need to be forgiven, Roha, for thinking, when you think of Afghanistan and Bangladesh, you think spinners, some of the best spinners in world cricket, from Shakib to Rashid Khan to Muhammad Nabi, Mujib ur Rahman. But the paces in both these two sides have been exemplary in this T20 World Cup and have really kept Afghanistan and Bangladesh in contention throughout this tournament. It has to be said. We take a little look at the team paces economy rate in this edition of the tournament. Afghanistan and Bangladesh is sitting in 3 and 4, going at an economy of 6.49 for Afghanistan and 6.7 respectively for Bangladesh, taking 47 wickets for Afghanistan, 40 for Bangladesh. Hafiz, the likes of Fazal Haq Farooqi has been a revelation this year. Gulbuddin Naib in the last match against Australia has barely bowled 3 overs this entire tournament and then gets 4 important wickets. And then also looking at Bangladesh, the way that Tuscan has been performing, Tanzim with the ball. What do you expect with the battle of the paces in today's edition of the tournament?
Well, surely both teams have those pacers doing well for the team. If you talk about Bangladesh, they already won some of the games because of the fast bowling. Like they given that early wickets to them, Tanzim I'm talking about, and then obviously Taskeen did the job in a couple of games. He was not playing the last game, which was a surprise to me.
I was going to ask you that. Would you have him back in your side for Bangladesh?
Surely on this track, because we have seen the fast bowler is hitting the right area. It's really tough to rotate the strike, and if you go after them, you can lose your wicket. So I think as a team, the both team will go the fast bowling. If you talk about Afghanistan, obviously Fazal Haq Farooqi is doing the job for them. But how good was Naveen in the last game? So I think overall they utilizing the talent very well, and their fast bowling is given them a hope. And then obviously if you go with the team, I think at the moment with the fast bowling, the spin attack Afghanistan will have more edge on Bangladesh for this particular game, because once the pressure of the fast bowler will go away, then the spinner comes in and they take wickets in the middle over.
Talking about alleviating pressure too, Marty, for Rashid Khan to not have to worry about being the wicket taker as well as the restrictor post the power play, as well as the captain, the fact that he's got so many bowlers in his arsenal now and just as much his quicks as his spinners to turn to for support, that's got to be a big weight off his shoulders.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're doing a great job taking the top of the batting orders off and, you know, just blasting them away, really. I mean, Farooqi's been fantastic. He's got the ball to swing. He's bowled perfect line and length on these wickets and not giving away any width or anything like that. So he's been really tough, and I think we saw Naveen get a bit of swing the other night against Australia. It made it tough for them to score, and then obviously Rashid does what he does. You know, he just comes in on these difficult wickets and just continues to take wickets and go at a run rate of less than 6.5 and over. So they've just got a really well-rounded bowling attack at the moment, and it's, you know, Rashid, I mean, what a dream as a captain. I mean, he can turn to anyone and they can do the job for him. It's just makes his job so much easier.
Oh, what a contest we have to look forward to today with the bat and the ball. Afghanistan versus Bangladesh. We continue our build-up on the other side of this very short break here on HMR Waterfront Presents Game on Hey. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to HMR Waterfront Presents Game On. Here we're building up to Afghanistan versus Bangladesh in this Super 8. Another exciting contest. इस पे बहुत कुछ depend करता है. अगर अफगानिस्तानी मैच जीत जाए तो they will create history for sure. हम ब्रेक से पहले ऑफ कोर्स बात कर रहे थे स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड वीकनेसेस, क्या एक्सपेक्ट हम कर सकते हैं और थोड़े बहुत चेंजेस इन दी 11 उसके बारे में भी वी डिड अ बिट बिल्ड अप बिफोर द शो. बट लेट्स कंटिन्यू टॉकिंग अबाउट Afghanistan and their momentum right now, because if there's one thing we know about the Afghanis, it's that they ride on that wave so beautifully, especially in the World Cups. In the last 50 over World Cup, we saw one after the other, they just kept getting better and better and better. And now, after defeating Australia in that manner, Yunus, in that last game, they just want to continue that, you know, and with full force, they're going to come out against Bangladesh. क्या उम्मीदें हैं आपको, और अगर अफगानिस्तान आज नहीं जीत पाते तो हाउ विल यू रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन देयर जर्नी एंड ऑन देयर कैंपेन ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड कप सो फार?
ये अमेजिंग है उनकी. देखिए उनकी परफॉर्मेंस अगर हम 50 की वर्ल्ड कप से लें तो बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट है. पाकिस्तान को हराया, उसके बाद ऑलमोस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलिया को उस वर्ल्ड कप में हराया, और अभी इस T20 वर्ल्ड कप में हरा दिया. तो उनकी इम्प्रूवमेंट तो है. और देखिए ये भी बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आपको अगर हाई लेवल पे कम्पीट करना है तो आपको एक जगह स्ट्रक नहीं होना, आपने मूव फॉरवर्ड करना है. और वो मूव फॉरवर्ड कैसे हो सकते हैं कि आपकी अपनी टीम अच्छी हो, आपके बॉलर्स सिर्फ स्पिनर नहीं बल्कि फास्ट बॉलर भी अच्छे हों, आपके सिर्फ ओपनिंग पार्टनरशिप नहीं बल्कि आपके मिडिल ऑर्डर भी आपके पास होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये नहीं हो सकता कि अगर अफगानिस्तान चाहे कि सिर्फ हम हमेशा मैचेस हमारे अगर ओपनर करेंगे तो हम अच्छा टारगेट या सेट कर सकते हैं या चेस कर सकते हैं, तो ये उनकी इम्प्रूवमेंट नज़र आ रही है। बस अब उनको थोड़ी सी यहाँ वहाँ कुछ पॉइंट्स पे काम करना है और वो मेरे ख्याल से वो कहते हैं ना वर्ल्ड बीटर हो जाएंगे, तो यही उनको करना है। और एक अच्छी बात उनकी ये है कि वो डे बाई डे उनकी जो ख्वाहिशात हैं ना वो बढ़ रही हैं। पहले उनकी ख्वाहिश होती थी कि जब मैं उनके साथ था कि हमने पाकिस्तान टीम को हराना है, उसके बाद हमने इंडिया को हराना है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया को हराना है, तो ये वो नज़र आ रहा है। ठीक है, अभी तक वो इंडिया के को नहीं हरा सके रेगुलरली, लेकिन ये कि वो वहाँ भी कहीं ना कहीं नज़र आ रहे हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल से देखिए ये एक जो इम्प्रूवमेंट का एलिमेंट है वो अगर आप करते हो तो आपके प्लेयर्स की, आपकी टीम की, आपकी इवन बोर्ड्स की रैंकिंग बढ़ती है।
And you know, आपने बात की भी, you know, milestones, setting those milestones for yourself as a team, and Marty, they've done that, as Yunus was also saying, you know, especially since that last World Cup, having that little dream that they want to beat Australia, get back at them and sort of just check that box going forward in international cricket, and especially in this format. But looking at how they've played in this World Cup, from the start of their campaign in this World Cup, the first match winning by 125 runs, then 84 runs, and then losing to West Indies by 104 runs. So that passion and that these margins are so telling, because if you win really big, but when they lose, they also sort of lose sight of what they're playing for. What do you make of such a team when they're so hard to study, to analyze?
Very dangerous. I mean, those big wins are huge, aren't they? And you know, they can beat any team on their day. You know, they've beaten New Zealand and Australia in this tournament, and we know they've pushed other teams right to the brink as well. So they are a dangerous side. You just never know what you're going to get from them. As you know, going down to over 100 runs to the West Indies, you just never know which side. It's a little bit like Bangladesh at times as well, isn't it? And to an extent, Pakistan at times.
To a big extent, Pakistan. We never know what's coming.
Hey, at least you said the big player.
I'll go ahead and say it, yes.
But you know what I mean? It's like you want to back these teams, but you just don't know if they're going to turn up on the day. And you know, with these other big teams, you know, Australia's, England, South Africa in this World Cup, New Zealand over the last few years, you know that they're going to turn up to bring their A game. Take away this tournament from New Zealand because they were just not good enough. But previously, you know, we've seemed to turn up to every tournament ready to go and putting our best foot forward. And you know, Australia do the same, England do the same, South Africa have done the same. This World Cup. So if these teams, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, want to start competing a lot more against these bigger nations, they need to start putting their best foot forward each and every time they step onto the park.
And that's the thing too, is the potential's always been there and been promising for so many years with Afghanistan. Bangladesh obviously coming in and out of form on the main stages, and a much better performance from them in this T20 World Cup too, it has to be said, making the Super 8s. But with Afghanistan in particular, Hafiz, just to zero in on their rise, their development, their improvement over the years. They tick off the box of finally beating Australia, unfortunately. They tick off beating New Zealand. They're starting to actually dethrone some of these large giants of the game on a consistent basis. You know, we're now not looking at Afghanistan breaking the record by winning a game in a World Cup. They're now winning several games in a World Cup, and they're vying for a semi-final spot. So seeing the improvement and how, I suppose, the management, the head coach and Jonathan Trott, you know, what can be credited to them as a side for just how much they've improved and so quickly in the last few years? What do you have to say about just what they've done essentially over the last few years?
Well, obviously the shape they are in at the moment, obviously you can give a lot of credit to the management working at the moment, but it never started now. It must have started many years back when the people started putting that belief into their head, putting that effort into it, as a player, as a management, as a think tank behind it, as a board, because we know, like, you know, they're coming out from a very tough time of their life, and now they are making the most of it. They are bringing all the smiles to the fans of cricket, and we know how passionate they are. So I think as a team they must be proud of the effort so far, and as a management, whoever brought every small step for that success must be really proud of it.
And let's not, you know, how do I say this? The difficulty of not being able to play at home. You guys know what that feels like,
yeah.
to not be able to play in front of your home side, to have that support of
Yeah.
home conditions, which help with stats, right? Because it's familiar conditions. You get to create wickets that best suit whoever you have in your ranks playing at the moment. How they've done that, considering they still don't have that. You know, what can Pakistan take away from what Afghanistan have managed to do, do you think, now that, you know, cricket's back in Pakistan well and truly, everyone's coming to play here as they should. The franchise cricket has been such a success. All the biggest names in the world, Martin Guptill included, want to come and be a part of the PSL because of what Pakistan has to offer with their domestic ranks as well. How can Pakistan be taking bits and pieces from what Afghanistan have done to put it into, you know, regrouping and improving where we're at the moment?
And you know, when Pakistan were in that period, you know, that's when we look back to that World Cup win. What makes it even more monumental and symbolic was the fact that we had no cricket going on at home. We didn't have teams coming and playing against us, so we were forced to play most of our home games in the UAE and getting sort of the best team that would work for us in that. And us context mein, it was just so important to have these little and big milestones on the world stage. And Afghanistan right now, at least Pakistan had a running domestic system. They had that first class system. They had an entire ecosystem of cricket being played and all the stakeholders involved. Afghanistan are still decades behind the creation and the running of that similar infrastructure that you are required to have for you to have a good first class structure. But despite that, credit to them the way that they have delivered, and you know, it's a sign that what we can expect from them in the upcoming years. Yunus,
बिल्कुल आपने देखा सब ही एक्सप्लेन कर दिया। देखिए हमने ये देखा कि ये जो इनकी परफॉर्मेंसेस आ रही हैं, इसके पीछे इनका एक कॉज है, और कॉज क्या है कि इनको अपने जो भी अफ़गानिस्तान में हालात हैं, उनके पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, उनके पास कोचेज़ नहीं आ रहे उतने रेगुलर बेसिस पे, और अगर वो चाहते भी तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। इवन कोचेज़, क्योंकि मैं तो उनके साथ रहा, कोचेज़ बाज़ का जा भी नहीं पाते हैं वहाँ पे। वो आते हैं, दुबई आएंगे, यूएई आएंगे, उसके बाद वहीं पे कैंप्स करेंगे और ये दे गॉन बैक। मगर देखिए अगर होता क्या है कि जब आपके पास जब टॉप के कोचेज़ आएंगे तो जब वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे काम करते हैं तो फ़ायदा होता है। उनके पास वो नहीं है। मेरा डेब्यू 2000 में हुआ, 2009 तक हम खेले तो मैं स्टार बन गया। जब आप घर पे खेलते हो, अपने होम कंडीशन पे खेलते हो, वहाँ से आपकी परफॉर्मेंसेज आती है, आपको पता होता है कि कौन सी पिच, कौन सा वेन्यू किस तरह खेलता है। यू बिकम अ स्टार एट होम। मगर उनके पास ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं। लकीली उनके पास ये जो फ्रेंचाइज क्रिकेट ने उनको फ़ायदा पहुंचाया कि अगर मैं नबी की बात करूं, नवीदुल हक की बात करूं, फजल फारूकी आपके हमें हर जगह नज़र आ रहे होंगे, उसके बाद और सारे, मैं गुरबाज की बात करूं, तो ये वहाँ से सारे एक्सपीरियंस लेके, लेकिन उनके पीछे एक कॉज़ है। व्हाट इज़ द कॉज़? कॉज़ ये है कि भाई हमने परफॉर्म करना है और हम अच्छे एम्बेसडर बने अपने कंट्री के, और वो जो कर रहे हैं तो उनकी जो परफॉर्मेंसेज आ रही है तो हमेशा ये बात कर रहे होते हैं कि हमने अपने लिए नहीं खेलना, हमने अपने मुल्क के लिए खेलना है, और जो इतने सारे लोग पीछे हमें देख रहे होते हैं उनको खुशी के लिए खेलना होता है। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये वो जो मोमेंट है ये उनको हर दिन इम्प्रूवमेंट में लेके आता है, और उनको पता है कि यही हमारे पास एक होप है कि जब क्रिकेट का मैच जीतेंगे, जब कोई ऑस्ट्रेलिया को हराएंगे, न्यूजीलैंड को हराएंगे, पाकिस्तान को हराएंगे, इंडिया को हराएंगे, तो खुशी आएगी। तो ये जो स्माइल आपको देनी होती है, क्योंकि इसी तरह हमारे पास भी यही है। फॉर समहाउ हमारे पास स्क्वाश नहीं रही, हॉकी नहीं रही, तो हमें ये समझना है कि यही एक हमारे पास एक मौका है जो कि हम अपने इतने सारे लोगों को हम खुशी दे सकते हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल से देखिए ये एलिमेंट हमें भूलना नहीं है। मैं अगर 2009 का वर्ल्ड कप जीता हूँ तो क्या सिचुएशन थी, क्या कंडीशन थी बैक इन पाकिस्तान इन 2009 में। IDPs आए हुए थे, सिर्फ मोटिवेशन किस तरह करते थे कि देंगे किसी तरह अगर हम ये वर्ल्ड कप जीत जाते हैं तो बैक पाकिस्तान में कितनी खुशी होगी। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये वो बिहाइंड में बहुत कुछ चल रहा होता है जो क्रिकेटर के, जो कि जब आप अच्छे ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बनते हो तो ये आपके जहन में होता है और ये आपको फिर मूव फॉरवर्ड करता है। तो अब तो टीम अफगानिस्तान को ये पता है कि ये उनके पास मौका है, और यही वो एक मोमेंट है जिसकी वजह से वो मूव फॉरवर्ड हो रहे हैं।
Oh, well, so much to look forward to here in this big, important clash. Will it be the last time that we see Afghanistan and Bangladesh in this edition of the tournament? Only time will tell. Afghanistan will be hoping to get a very big win across the Tigers, and the Tigers will be looking for a little bit of glory to take home after a tough Super 8's competition portion of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Live action is coming up on the other side of this break, though. We do hope you've enjoyed this wonderful little pre-match analysis analysis of what to expect. Gentlemen, thank you so much for all of your wonderful work as
Thank
always. Some really important topics covered as always. Rohan, Nadeem, beautiful, insightful as always. This has been HMR Waterfront presents Game on Hai. Enjoy the match and we'll see you all tonight for more T20 World Cup action.